From the Banks & Jones Attorneys Play to Win Studios at banksandjones.com, this is your Praise 96.3 WJBZ FM, Seymour, Knoxville.
Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to Rick's House. Thanks for joining us on the program. We're at your Praise 96.3. That's Praise 96.3 FM. And good Saturday morning to you. Joining us this morning on the programs, we've got Stephen Jackson in from Yes Insurance. And Stephen is like one of my own. I've known him since he was a wee little tot, which he never was much of a wee little tot. How tall are you, Stephen?
I think I'm about 6'5" or so.
Oh yeah, bull, 6'7" or so. So we're here today, and we've been talking about that. We're going to have a lot of folks that, if you've got those questions, Stephen specializes in all types of insurance, especially in the insurance world in terms of when we're talking about Medicare and all that kind of stuff that brings. Good gracious, there's just so much to talk about and think about and be part of that. It's mind boggling. And as I reach that age in life where I am starting to head toward that, the navigation of that is just goodness. It's something else. It's just absolutely something else. So you're there to help those folks, and you do all kinds of insurance. Let's talk a little bit about your company and your areas that you service, and all those kinds of things that bring you, why you're here and what you do. Just introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Rick said, I'm Stephen Jackson, and Yes Insurance is a relatively new agency, but we bring lots of years of experience to the table. You may have heard the company Yes Mortgage. We are actually a sister company of Yes Mortgage. And it all started because we wanted to write homeowners insurance as we were doing the mortgages. And that's how it kind of started. But I have many, many years experience in health insurance and Medicare. And so the idea is that we want to be your one-stop shop for insurance. We want to, whether we catch you when you're young driving, when we get your auto insurance, and then later we get your life insurance, we want to be that insurance partner that's there for life. From when you get married, you have kids, you buy your first home. We want to be there and walk you through those steps all the way till you retire and you go on Medicare. We want to be your lifelong insurance partner.
Well, and that's something that's kind of unheard of these days. I know that within my own insurance things over the years, it went from agents coming to see you and coming to your house and dealing with those kinds of things too. Well, if you want to buy insurance, you need to come by the office and those kind of things. Is that a trend? Is that kind of the way it is, or is that?
You're starting to see more and more people get into it. And what we're doing is we're having people specialize in these certain areas of insurance. So we'll have a life insurance specialist, a home and auto specialist, which is me right now, and then a Medicare specialist, which is also me right now, wearing many hats at the moment, unfortunately. But that's kind of the goal. And a lot of people are trying to do it because it makes sense. It's one big funnel. And if you can help everybody at the same time, in one building, it just makes it easier for the client, ease, peace of mind. And that's another thing you mentioned. You got to come by the office. We're mobile. So while we do have an office in Hardin Valley, we are all over the state. I mean, I was just in Newport and Jefferson City yesterday meeting with some clients and doing some events. So we come to you.
And that's a nice feature, I mean, and I imagine, especially if you're talking about homeowners insurance or, the new challenges that are faced with that, depending upon with all these prices that we're seeing and all those things that we're having. And then in addition to that, you take on top of that, I mean, you got to see the house. I mean, you got to know what you're dealing with. And, as we navigate that as headed toward those senior years, it's something that you do want somebody that you can trust, that you can just call and go, hey, I need this. I'm old school. That's the way we've always done it. And I think that's a great way to do business. It's it lends itself to, if you got somebody that's looking out for you, that's a huge thing. I think that's really important. Now, our call-in line today is 865-577-4885. Now, I know y'all usually listen, and everybody's scared of making that phone call, but I promise you, if you make that phone call, there is no silly question. I promise you somebody else has the same question and wants an answer to that question. So don't hesitate to do that. Also, you can text us at our Miracle Method text line, which is 865-255-3911. The Miracle Method text line, which is 865-255-3911. And we'll be happy to get Stephen to answer questions for you, what he can along the way while he is doing the insurance things. And some of those things are very specific and requires a lot more information, but you can give us generalities.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, across the board.
Yeah. And you have multiple companies.
Absolutely. On both sides of every venture of insurance we act as a brokerage. So we like to partner with the best companies that we can. We won't have all the companies in the market, but we'll represent several, especially the leading ones. We will always represent them if we can.
Yeah. And that's a great thing, because as a broker, you're able to go through and say, yeah, I like this and don't like that. This fits for this person. And having multiple, it's just like with our sponsors that we have. People ask me all the time, they say, well, Rick, why do you have more than one sponsor? And, more than one plumber, more than one electrician, more than one whatever. Well, I want to give people a choice. There's more than one company that does things good. And then, sometimes Bob and John might get along great. Bob and Bill might not like each other at all. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast of dealing with making that happen. And so it's advantageous to the customer to have those opportunities, or to be able to put a specific company. For years and years and years, we had both Knox Rail Salvage, who we still have, along with Old City Kitchens, and Joel Piper and the team over there. And of course, my buddy Darrell was at Stover's. And people be like, well, don't they do the same thing? Well, yeah, sort of, but they do things that each other don't do. And they'll actually send clients from one to the other, depending on, they're like, well, we don't do that and we don't have that, but but I know our friends at Stover's do. So go over there, and Stover's do the same thing. Well, that's not really what we specialize in, but we know that our friends over at Knox Rail do that. That's the way business should be done. It should be about the client and about the customer, Steve.
Absolutely. And our first step whenever we meet with a new client is we don't look at products immediately. We look at their needs first, and if that's Medicare, we're looking at their doctors, we're looking at their drugs, we're looking at how many times you go into the doctor. And that gives us an idea of what kind of health they're in. And from there, we can look and make sure that our doctors are in network. And then from there, once we know the needs, then we start looking at plans, because then that's how we truly help the client. You find the need, and then from the need, you find the plans that satisfy that need.
Right. So it's putting together what works.
Yep.
And what works in the best interest of all. Vance, I have left my other phone in the dash of up on the windshield of my. You don't care? That's what I figured. No, I don't want you to go get Miss Patty. If you can do that for me, that will let me make sure that our Facebook feed is feeding properly as it goes. I apologize for that, brother. You have to use the key for that side. So we'll make sure that's coming through loud and clear as we continue with that. And so we're going to talk all things insurance today. And I've been excited about this because I dabbled in insurance years ago. I had a life and health license, which I retired. And many, many moons ago, I had an uncle that was in the insurance agency and had started with Prudential and went to the $1 Million Round Table and all that stuff. And then he has since just recently passed. But he then moved on from one company and opened an agency and made his living doing that. And so brokering lots of different companies. I didn't realize how many insurance companies there are out there. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah. I mean, just in the home and auto world alone, I think we represent 35 or something like that.
Yeah, it's craziness. I mean, that they're out there, and so many of them that have really good ratings through Standard and Poor, or what's the other one? You got Standard and Poor, and you got. Do y'all still use those ratings?
S&P.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you still got those ratings out there that tell you, how the company's doing, almost like a Better Business thing, how they're paying claims and all that kind of stuff. And I think that they've grown so large. We've had a lot of insurance dealings here over the last few months with passing of family members and different things that we've had to deal with relative to that. And some of them been better than others. Phone line's ringing. We'll get you here in just a second. Thank you, my brother. As the phone begins to ring. So that being said, the other thing I'm getting a lot of questions about, and this is probably a question that's probably Brian, but I'm getting questions about is the use of drones.
Yeah.
Is that a big thing?
Yeah, it actually is. So there's several companies out there that have been either using drones to fly over your house and take pictures of your roof to check the status and the life of it. And some companies are just pulling up Google satellite, images, and they're going off of that. So yes, it's a common thing for you to have a home, have homeowners insurance, get a letter from your insurance carrier saying, hey, you have to get a new roof by X day or we're going to drop you. I've seen it several times this year, and I work with several great agents in this area as well, and they're all seeing it as well. So I've even seen some cases where to bind a policy, you need to get a roof inspection.
Really?
Yes.
So it's a changing thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the companies have just lost so much money. Replacement costs have gotten so high recently that it's just costing the companies more and more to replace things. And then we have more disasters. It seems like more accidents than ever. And prayers to the people in Newport and all those areas that are dealing with the flooding. But
oh yeah, you're getting ready to get real busy.
Yeah, it's a crazy time. So with those replacement costs getting just higher and higher with the cost of inflation, I mean, insurance companies are having to do a lot to make sure they're still profitable.
Yeah, and
Brian.
Okay. And we'll get to him just a second. Let's let him know. Hang on. We'll get to him just a second. And I think that's great that you say that, because there's a lot of prayer needed out there for these. I mean, Newport's completely underwater. I heard this morning that I don't remember which dam it is. It hasn't broken. It's going to. It's just a matter of time. And I actually was watching, flipping through last night, and was over on Facebook, and there was a 16 by 80 mobile home just floating down the waterway, just like a houseboat.
Yep.
And then of course this morning they were showing that propane tank that got loose, and oh my goodness, that's dangerous as it can be. And so just so much stuff. I want to say hello to Weekend RV Center this morning. Brian, good to see you. We'll say hello to Douglas, my cousin, in Australia, listening to us this morning. So good morning, my brother. Good to hear from you. We got to catch up. I've been not so good in getting that done. And of course, Xavier, as I said, at Weekend RV Center with what they got going on. What about RVs and stuff like that? Do you do that too, Stephen?
Yes, we do. We have several carriers that'll cover your toys, RVs, all that good stuff. Some are better than others, of course, but yes, we can offer that.
Okay. Well, that's an important thing. A lot of people are doing that. As that's something that being on the road, we did for a long time. And of course, that's an important part of what we do, and making that happen is an important part of having the right coverage, because I know that depending on, and this is something that I learned, if that RV is sitting and is going to be sitting, and it's going to be a residence, that's one policy. If it's going to be moving from place to place to place, that's a whole different policy. Yep. Because then we're talking about collision and liability and comprehensive coverage and all that kind of stuff. And there's a big money difference between those two. A big money difference.
Yes, there is.
And so I went a year and didn't realize that I needed to change my policy, before I knew. And it just hit me one day. I got my renewal and I thought, man, that's a lot. I need to shop that. And so I called my agent, and he was like, Rick, is it standing? Are you sedimentary? Or is that where you're at? I said, yeah, for now. For a good while. He said, oh, well, we got to change that around. It dropped it. I couldn't believe how much it dropped it a month. But it's the same thing. If if you're moving that sucker down the road, then you have the potential for accidents and everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. We can even insure those Sprinter vans now that they convert into, like livable situations.
Can you really?
Yeah, I have some carriers that'll do that.
Well, that's pretty interesting because I know that's been in the traveling world, van world, and all the things vagabond that we have worked on. That can be a difficult row to hoe, as my mama would say about that. Vance, let's go ahead and take that first time out, get that out of the way, and then we'll come back to Brian. And I know he's got some insurance questions about some things that he's seeing out there. And then we've also got a question. Can you explain the differences between RV coverage when it's full-time uses versus recreational uses? So we'll come back.
Yes.
We'll give you a second to do that. You're listening to Rick's House. We're live at Your Praise 96.3. Good Saturday morning to you. Stephen Jackson joins me from Yes Insurance. We're going to give you his number and how you can get him coming back shortly. Hang on. We'll be right back.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show on the road. Let me tell you about my friends at Knox Trail Salvage and Old City Kitchens. Joel Popper and the team there have been friends of this program for a long time, and they want to be your friend. Friends, they have got the best cabinets, the best products. You say, Rick, is it seconds? No, everything's first quality. They do have some seconds if you want to get a deal, but not on kitchens and not on about everything they have in the store. So trust me, they're part of our team. They want to be part of your team. And in this environment where building materials are going through the roof, they're going to have the best prices on the best products in Knoxville or anywhere in the surrounding area. Call them today. See them online. KnoxtrailSalvage.com, OldCityKitchens.com. A Rick's House favorite.
Now listen, if you've not been to Baker Boys, have y'all tried Baker Boys pizza yet? Oh my good gracious. Let me tell you something. It's on Cherry Street. If you get off on Cherry Street and turn toward Magnolia, and you'll see Baker Boys down there on the right. He's got a 30-inch pie, like not even got in my van and got the door closed. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm telling you, a slice of pizza feed 10 kids. Baker Boys Pizza is the place. I'm telling y'all, go by and see them and tell them that we sent you. And they're going to take care of you. They're going to be proud to see you, and they're going to be glad to feed you and your family. Great place for after church on Sundays. Go by and see the team at Baker Boys Pizza and tell them that Rick's House sent you.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, and let me tell you about one of my favorite companies, Top Septic. If you need a new drain field, or maybe you're having a problem with your existing drain field, or maybe the septic tank just needs to be pumped, they are the folks that can handle it for you. They know what they're doing. They're an American-owned company run by a veteran who wants to give you the type of service that you're expecting. Top Septic. Call them today, 865-599-1690. 865-599-1690.
Don't let do-it-yourself become do-it-to-yourself. This is Rick's House, the home improvement show.
Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to Rick's House live from Praise 96.3, your Praise 96.3. And Stephen Jackson joins me this morning from Yes Insurance. And we've got some questions we're going to answer. And we'll get right to that. Let's go ahead and go to Brian. He's been holding patiently, Vance. Let's get Brian on there. Brother Brian from the beautiful city of Lacey, Washington State. How art thou?
Hey, good morning there, Rickster, buddy. And I want to tell you, Vance is an outstanding guy that gets your phones. He's very personable and does a great job.
He's patting himself on the back right now. Miss Patty's here with us. That's his better half. She's with us this morning, and Tiny is joining us as well. So we're excited about having them here this morning. How might we help you today, sir?
Well, Rickster, I got a couple of things I'm going to throw at your guest. You know the work.
Be
that I
careful,
do.
he's 6'7", and he's
That's
a
okay.
state
I got
champion
120.
wrestler.
That's okay. I have a 120-pound German Shepherd. I have two different questions. One is on the commercial side. One is on the vehicle side. Is he okay answering those?
I could give a shot at the commercial. I'm more focused on the personal, but I'm educated in it.
Sure. Hey, well, thank you, sir. And me being in the Northwest and you being where you're at, I'm sure you've got really no control over this situation, but you probably have seen it. I own a private security company. Our people are unarmed. We don't carry handcuffs. We have nice security-looking vehicles and things like that. And I do a lot of work for the city, and I do a lot of work for the school districts. But I do that after hours, not during the business hours, but after hours, like 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock in the morning. And what I've been finding over the last couple of years, I've been battling commercial liability insurance for my security guard and patrol business that I've been in business for 42 years with, knock on wood, we've got zero claims on anything. And I was insured by Lloyd's of London 2 years ago for $5 million. And all of a sudden, Lloyd's of London was going to drop us. Not because of any claims, but because you're a security company walking around the schools at night. And that is a liability that we don't want to deal with.
Yeah.
Because of all the things that are going on in today's schools. And thank God, 3 days before my insurance certificate expired, we ended up with a new company that took over for Lloyd's of London. But when you throw up the name Lloyd's of London, that's supposed to be the
big dog.
Outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. They're the ones that insure all the unique situations.
Exactly. And I didn't think that I was that unique. I retired working with a German Shepherd, so the German Shepherd's not even on the policy. There's no guns, no handcuffs, no anything. And all we're doing is walking around these schools, making sure that the doors are locked and the windows are closed. And if there's an alarm going off and there's not numerous trips, we go back to the schools, 21 different schools, and we walk around and make sure everything is secured.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, during the summertime, sometimes we come across kids wanting to play basketball on school grounds when the school grounds are closed. And we work with them and say, hey, look, in the next hour or so, I got to get you to move off the school grounds, but at least you can enjoy yourself for the next an hour or so. No problem at all. And I've been doing that for a local school, 21 schools, for about 9 years. And now we're having nothing but it looks like juggling cats and chainsaws, trying to make sure that I have the right coverage, which I do, but it just seemed that with zero claims, being in business for 42 years, and Lloyd's of London said they're not going to cover you.
Yeah.
That was just a concern.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I can tell you is a lot of those risk decisions are made based on other claims in a confined area. So you've been in Washington State. There must be other security companies that also are with Lloyd that have had several claims, is what I would wager has happened. And they've deemed that market is too risky for them to move forward in. That's kind of what we're seeing here in Tennessee. We have one of the highest uninsured motorist claims in the nation. And because of that, we are seeing across the board big premium hikes right now because there's so many uninsured motorist claims for different factors. But it's a situation where, hey, my driving record's spotless. I've never been in an accident. That was my fault, knock on wood. I've had one speeding ticket, and it was when I was a teenager. Other than that, I have a very good driving record. And my rates are going up. And like I said, I haven't done anything, but because of the market we are in and the claims that have been done, it's causing insurance companies to raise rates, or in this case, in your case, they're saying we don't want to be a part of that market anymore. It's not a part of our appetite moving forward.
So the bad apples hurt the good apples.
Absolutely.
You have no idea how much we're paying for that type of insurance, and it's a $5 million policy.
Yeah.
And that being said, that's totally, understandable, and I get that, and it's been explained to me about that. And the issue, and I'm going to shift gears to you. I have 3 different hot rods that are, one's a 67 GTO, 78 Malibu, and I have a CTSV 2011. I'm insured by, can I give the name?
I don't see any reason. He can give him the name, can you, Vance? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm insured by Hagerty. But Hagerty, when my insurance certificate showed up, said, you're not insured by Hagerty, you're insured by a subcontractor of Hagerty.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this is really weird, because the way today's society is, people want to sue anybody for anything. And so I'm cruising around in my hot rod, and I swerve out of the way because a dog jumped in a road, and I plowed into a school bus,
Mm-hmm.
and I hurt 13 kids on accident. And now all of them are being transported by ambulances and helicopters and all that kind of stuff. And I'm looking at my insurance, and I was told I'm hired by Hagerty. I'm paying Hagerty. I've got the Hagerty insurance certificate, or not certificate, but the Hagerty bill. And come to find out, they use a subcontractor.
Mm-hmm.
And that subcontractor is not licensed in the state that I live in.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and apparently, according to the insurance commissioner, Hagerty is not licensed in the state of Washington. But according to Hagerty, they are licensed in the state of Washington. And when you ask the insurance agent, can I get your license number for the state of Washington since you're selling insurance from Hagerty, the guy hangs up on me.
Oh, wow.
Sounds like attorneys.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm not an attorney by any means, but yeah. So what that is it's actually called reinsurance, and it's pretty common. So what they do is one company will they'll buy insurance on their insurance to a bigger company. So if they have a loss that they can't handle, they then turn to the reinsurer to handle that cost. So that's the situation that you're dealing with right now. But yeah, it sounds like you need to seek some legal advice.
That would be a great question for T. Scott Jones, who is on Tuesday evenings on Praise. And of course, T. Scott's our attorney as well. And he practices all over the United States. And I bet you he could give you some help with that. Matter of fact, I'm going to see him today. And so I'll mention that to him, Brian, and see if that's something he can help you with. At least point you in the right direction.
Well, thank you. And me, in the business that I am, I have 12 security vehicles, and they have full coverage from Progressive.
Yeah.
We're pretty happy with them. You can call them in the middle of the night, tell them what's going on, what happened, whatever, and they're on it. But when you turn around and try to use Progressive, and try to use them for your aftermarket hot rod vehicles, they just kind of explode on price. And then Hagerty looked outstanding for the price. And I guess my biggest concern is, I got my insurance certificates, all is covered and everything else, and then something happens and goes sideways on accident, and now I'm telling the local police I'm insured by this company, Hagerty, but then I pull out my insurance certificate and they say, well, no, you're insured by this company, not Hagerty. And you need to double check your insurance certificate because it says it right here. And to me, that's almost fraud, isn't it?
It's something very fishy is definitely going on with that situation. Yeah, there's something not right about that for sure.
Well, I appreciate your opinion, and I know that in the Ricksters area there are lots of guys that have got some old school hot rods, and I'm sure that they use this company. And this company Hagerty. It seems to be very legitimate, but when you start doing checks and things like that, yes, they are, but they use subcontracted companies.
Mhm.
Is that safe? To be you saying that you're paying for this company, but you have a company that's underwriting it.
Well, here's what I would say. If your insurance company cannot pay the bill, you definitely want them to have the reinsurance, that they have the coverage, outside of their company to get your bills paid, because the insurance company doesn't have enough money to pay it on their own. They have to have that backup reinsurer that will help pay some of that cost. So I mean, if you can have one company do it, it's preferred, of course, but there are situations where there are reinsurers and they work well. So it just depends on the company.
What's frustrating, sir, and I think you know this, if you're in an emergency situation and you're in an accident and all of a sudden you're in a panic mode because there are several people that have been hurt, and you're producing your insurance certificate and you've been told this, and this, but then all of a sudden, well, no, that company's using this company, so you need to get a hold of that company. Then when you get a hold of that company, they're saying, no, you need to go back to this company. So I'm not sure. Have you run into that problem?
No, I have not yet. No.
Okay, because our insurance commissioner is wanting us to send all this information over to them about Hagerty and this other company going forward. And I think I stirred up something a little bit, but
Brian, you mean you'd stir the pot?
Yeah, I did, and I didn't mean to, but I don't mind you messing with my business. But you start playing with my hot rods, I'm going to be right there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, my brother. Listen, I got to go to a timeout. Thank you so much for calling, and we'll continue talking about that and see what else we can help with.
Hey, thanks again for your great service, Rick, and your person that you have on today seems very knowledgeable. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
All right. When we come back from this next time out, we're going to answer a question that we've got from Weekend RV Center. Can you explain the differences between RV coverage when it's full-time use versus recreational use? And maybe that's going into storage, for the winter time. Didn't even think about that one. That's going to be a good one. Say good morning to Jim Sharp Jr., Melissa, Ron. Good to see y'all in there this morning. Cuz, good to see you. And you're listening to Rick's House on Praise 96.3. Hang on, young'uns. We'll be right back.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show, right here on 96.3 FM, Praise FM. Let me tell you about my friends Tyler and Xavier and the team over at Weekend RV Center. Whether you're looking for sales or service, parts or storage, they're the team that can make that happen for you. I trust them. They've been there with me when we were on the road all over the United States, and they'll be there for you. They can work on your RV. They can take your RV in on a trade. They can sell you a new RV, but most of all, they're going to treat you like family. You're not dealing with some big corporation. You're dealing with local folk who want to do a great job and take care of you. Weekend RV Center, 865-457-4424, 865-457-4424, or find them online at weekendrvcenter.com. Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, and let me tell you about one of my favorite companies, Top Septic. If you need a new drain field, or maybe you're having a problem with your existing drain field, or maybe the septic tank just needs to be pumped, they are the folks that can handle it for you. They know what they're doing. They're an American-owned company run by a veteran who wants to give you the type of service that you're expecting. Top Septic. Call them today, 865-599-1690, 865-599-1690. Hey, y'all, being from the country, I've learned one thing for sure. The difference in experience can make the difference between a good job and a bad one. That's why we choose August Excavation for all your excavation needs. Whether it's pouring a footing, laying out a footing, pouring a concrete driveway, excavating a basement, or whatever your excavation needs may be. August Excavating. Call them today, 423-736-1402. 423-736-1402.
Want the good, the bad, and the ugly of home improvement? You found it. This is Rick's House.
Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to Rick's House live on your Praise 96.3, Praise 96.3 FM. Listen, if you got a question for us about your insurance or home improvement, whatever your questions are this morning, we'd love to hear from you. That call-in line live is 865-577-4885. That's 865-577-4885. And our friends at Miracle Method, newest sponsor to the program, but an old friend and an old company that we've been doing business with for a long time. The Miracle Method message line, if you want to text us, is 865-255-3911, 865-255-3911. Plus, if you need that new garage floor to put that hot rod in, they can handle that, or resurfacing of your tile or your countertops in your house, or whatever you'd like. If you're building a new house and one of the sheetrock guys or a plumber or a HVAC guy drops a hammer in the tub and chips it, they can come out and make that look like brand new. So Miracle Method, be sure and tell our sponsors when you talk to them that you heard about them on Rick's House. Question from our sponsor, Weekend RV Center, great friends of the program, Stephen. Can you explain the differences between RV coverage when it's full-time use versus recreational use? Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. So full-time recreational use is going to be different carrier to carrier, but most of them require that you live in the RV full-time for at least 6 months out of the year.
Okay.
It's going to kind of act like more of a home. It's not going to be like a homeowner's policy, but it's going to kind of mimic one almost in a way. And then you have, if you're just recreational, it's not going to have as much coverage built into the plan as, say, a full-time is. But the full-time plan is going to be significantly more expensive than the recreational only, because it's being treated kind of like your home. So,
and that's something that I experienced as we were talking about, and this was before you got into the transferred into owning your own agency and doing that. But I experienced the same thing because we were sedimentary, and I got my insurance, and I'm like, man, I didn't realize how much I was paying when I was on the road traveling place to place to place to place, especially going cross country. And so I was talking to my agent. I said, man, you got to get this down. We got to do something. And he said, well, what? I said, we're not going anywhere. It's set up on blocks. Plumbing's plumbed in. We're not going anywhere for a while. He's like, oh, well, that's a whole different ballgame, Rick. We need to do that. And it went bam, and like cut it in half.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I can buy groceries this month. So it's that kind of thing. Now, talking about the home improvement world, as we have found a lot we like, and we're working on negotiations with that, and maybe it'll go our way, maybe it won't. We'll see as we will build the final resting place, as we're going to call it, for us to go. Homeowners insurance, I know it's something that you and I have chatted about over the last month or so when we begin to talk. There are things folks need to think about when they want to talk about home insurance. If you live out on way away from services, there are factors to be considered. Talk to me a little about that.
Absolutely. So how far are you from the fire department is one factor. Do you have a fire hydrant on your road? Is it 500 feet away? Is it 600 feet away? These are all factors that go into these decision making. I mean, I've ran several quotes this year, just out in either Morgan County or far away from, like you said, services.
Right, beautiful part of the country.
Beautiful houses, great deals. You can get a great deal on a house out there, but the insurance is going to cost you a lot of money because you're in the eyes of the insurance companies. You are a risk they're not willing to take unless their margins are met. So that's a big factor. And flood zones. I mean, that's a big factor as well. You could very easily be forced to get flood insurance by a mortgage company, there's lots of situations that you got to look at, and we're dealing with floods right now. It's a big mess. So you want to make sure you have the right coverage. Whenever you meet with an agent, especially when you're buying a home, make sure you're looking at your deck page, you're looking at all your endorsements, make sure you're fully covered, because homeowners policies, they have named things that aren't covered. You need to make sure you have some coverage for those things.
Well, and I had a life and health license for a number of years, and I dabbled in it in insurance, so I know just enough about it to be dangerous. It's changed so much that, you know, I mean, I have the benefits of understanding some of the technologies and the wording and the phrasing, but I would not even begin to try to decipher, you know, how it's done now, because you got to know, it's with any business, you got to know the ins and the outs, and the places to be careful, and the loopholes and things. And just, when I was in my younger days and I was building houses and doing those things, you know, the first time I ever heard an insurance company, I had an insurance company that I'd been with for like 20 years. And the first time they said to me, "We're not going to insure that." I thought, why? You know, but that is common.
Yeah.
That's a common thing. And so that's something that you really, in the process, I mean, I think insurance, you know, it has to be included when you're starting to build anyway, because the risk and liabilities of people being on your property, and, you know, depending on how the deed is structured, if it transfers after the project is complete, or if you own the property and build, I mean, there's so many things that have to be considered. That's something you really got to take a look at.
Yeah, and also one big thing that I'll mention is a lot of companies, especially some of the, you know, smaller ones, I'd say, or the less heard, they're switching from replacement cost to actual cash value, which is bad, because, you know, your house, sometimes they appreciate, like say you've had a double wide trailer for 10 years. Well, that thing starts to depreciate, and your actual cash value, if something happens, you know, that's probably not going to cover you to get a new home.
So that's a great point. And that's one of the things I talked to my agent about when I was transferring my policy over to, you know, and then you have all these stipulations. Well, if a tree falls on it, then you get this.
Yeah.
But if, you know, it catches on fire, you get that. Or if it, you know, and so there are little bits and pieces in that you can end up not getting much, paying a bunch.
Absolutely.
And so that's a great point. You and I had talked some about, and I don't know if you've had a chance to research this yet or not, but we had talked some about, and we actually this morning we talked a little bit about the flying drones over and saying you got to have a new roof and that kind of thing. And then of course we had the folks from Roof Max that I shared with you, and Brian actually has them come out to his house because they're a national company out there that rejuvenates the roof. There's several companies out there that have said this is an okay thing, get you an extra 5 years or 10 years, depending upon what they'll warranty it. You know, I'm curious that, you know, if you're thinking along those lines, you definitely want to make sure that your insurance company is in agreement with what they're saying. How do you go about that? Would you need to go to your agent and he can facilitate that, or how does that work?
So in most cases, they're going to want the roof replaced verbatim. They may say they want a section of the roof repaired, maybe. But at the end of the day, most of them, the letters I've seen have said the roof has to be replaced completely.
Right.
Now, again, there's a few where they said just, you know, repair it, whatever. But most of them are, it seems like, and, you know, a roof's good for what, 20 to 30 years now.
Yeah.
Well, they're looking at 15. If it's 15 years old, they're looking, well, we need to look at that roof to make sure that it's okay. That seems to be the biggest. We had a hailstorm. We had lots of things happen. We had that, I guess it was a tornado in Cedar Bluff about a year ago. I mean, there's a lot of damage. There was an entire apartment complex that the roof was thrown off of. So, I mean, it's there's been a lot of claims, and roof has been one of the major ones. So that's another measure these companies are taking to make sure that they're mitigating their losses. And
yeah, and basically, I mean, I hate to say it, but the truth is what they say goes. There's no room for negotiation there. If they say this is what we're going to do, that's what they're going to do. However they make that decision. The facts are the facts.
And our job as agents is to make sure that you understand as a client everything that's built into that policy. So there's no, oh crap.
Right. And or to say, you know, here's what's coming down the pike. We may need to look at B company who is more lenient in that aspect. I guess, you know, I mean, folks, the truth of it is, with anything, they're in business to make money.
Yep.
I mean, we're all in business to make money. There's nothing wrong with making money, but you got to have somebody that can advise you so you don't get caught up in a mistake that it's not intentional. Just if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And as homeowners, we don't know.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
I mean, we don't know. We were recently in an accident, and I ended up having all the attorneys to get that settled. It's taken months and months and months and months.
Yeah.
And we did nothing. It was nothing. We didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So it's the nature of the beast these days.
Absolutely.
Now, when should we? And we got a couple of minutes. And I want to open this up, and then we'll go that next time out here. At quarter till. As a person who is like your mom and dad, Amy and I, all of our friends, all you boys as mom and dads that was at all of our houses.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great group.
Yeah.
We had a great group of young people. As we're aging, at what point should we begin looking at that Medicare, that senior options, those, at what point do you start trying to learn about that and is there an age?
Yeah, I mean, it varies person to person, but obviously 7 months before you turn 65, you need to start thinking about your decision. So are you still working? Are you retiring when you turn 65? These are going to be factors because you have, Medicare Part A, which is your hospital insurance. When you turn 65, it's automatically instated. You don't have to do anything. And as long as you've worked at least 10 years and paid your taxes, your FICAs, you will get Part A for free because you paid for it up to this point. The decision that has to be made is Part B, which is your doctor's insurance, all that good stuff.
So it's going to cover major things.
Well, Part A, Part A is going to cover your hospitals and it's going to cover long-term care nursing, stuff like that. But it's only going to pay 8%.
Okay.
So you're on the hook for 20% of that. Part B, again, this is important. This is probably the most important thing I'll say on this radio show today. If you're on Part B, or if you're working and you do not delay your Part B and you accept it, you're going to pay $174 a month. That's what the Part B premium is. You're going to pay that every month, and you don't really need it. Vice versa, if you retire and you say, I don't want to fool with Medicare yet, and you just go on Cobra. Let's say you're on Cobra. Well, let's say you go a year with Cobra, and then you say, I'm going to go on Medicare now. Well, you didn't have credible coverage. Yeah, Cobra is not considered credible coverage. A lot of people don't know that.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not considered credible coverage. So they are on the hook for a 12-month penalty. It's about $17 a month, and that's going to occur for a year, and then they are going to have to pay that monthly for their Part B.
See, these are the things we got to know.
Yes.
We're going to take that next time out. Vance, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask a question. You say 7 months before you turn 65, you need to be looking into.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have to be on Social Security to draw?
No.
Or to be on Medicare?
No, you can actually pocket pay monthly. They'll bill you, and you can pay for it through that route. You can also, once you get on Social Security, you can deduct it from your Social Security check.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can go about it either way.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. We're going to take that next time out hear from some of those folks that bring you this program, like our friends at Cozy Mountain Cabins. If you're looking for an outstanding cabin that's clean and ready to roll, call my buddy Anita. Cozy Mountain Cabins, 865-660-0340. 865-660-0340. We need to check on her today. She's got cabins in Newport. See what's going on up there. You're listening to Rick's House live Saturday morning. Call us, 865-577-4885. Hang on, youngins. We'll be right back.
What happens when you take 20 years of experience hanging metal on NASCARs and you put that into another business? The business I'm talking about, Miracle Method Resurfacing in Knoxville. My buddy Chris Stacy and his team are there for the detail. Therefore, as good as a job can get. They understand working with tight tolerances and working with a finish that has to be almost perfect. If you're thinking about redoing your countertop, maybe you're thinking about redoing that avocado green bathtub, or maybe you're thinking about that epoxy floor for your hot rod in your garage. Think nowhere else. Miracle Method Miracle Method of Knoxville is the place that can help your dreams come true about that new tile surface or any other finish in your home. Call them today, 865-693-5522. 865-693-5522.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show on the road. Let me tell you about my friends at Knox Trail Salvage and Old City Kitchens. Joel Piper and the team there have been friends of this program for a long time, and they want to be your friend. Friends, they have got the best cabinets, the best products. You say, Rick, is it seconds? No, everything's first quality. So you want to get a deal? Not on kitchens and not on about everything they have in the store. So trust me, they're part of our team. They will be part of your team. And in this environment where building materials are going through the roof, they're going to have the best prices on the best products in Knoxville or anywhere in the surrounding area. Call them today. See them online. KnoxtrailSalvage.com, OldCityKitchens.com. A Rick's House favorite.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, and let me tell you about one of my favorite companies, Top Septic. If you need a new drain field, or maybe you're having a problem with your existing drain field, or maybe the septic tank just needs to be pumped, they are the folks that can handle it for you. They know what they're doing. They're an American-owned company run by a veteran who wants to give you the type of service that you're expecting. Top Septic. Call them today, 865-599-1690. 865-599-1690.
Welcome back to Rick's House Live on Praise 96.3. You know, Vance, every time I hear that, I feel like I need to put on like a karate gi and dance like an Egyptian or something. I don't know. I don't know. But you like that, don't you?
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I'd pay to see that.
Well, I might have figured out where I can make a little extra money.
Halloween costume right there.
That's right. Absolutely. So, so during the timeout, Stephen and I were talking, and this is some good information. And there are things here that he's talking about that I have no idea, but we're going to let him do that. Breaking news: the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah.
Is that where you were going to start?
Yeah, that's perfect.
And then we're going to talk about donut holes.
Yeah.
You got Vance's attention.
They got a lot of people's attention. If you're not on Medicare, the donut hole is it's a situation that some seniors find themselves in when they are paying a lot of money for their drugs. Once Medicare hits a certain amount on the drugs, the clients are on the hook for the full cost until they hit another number, and it equates to about $5,000 that they could spend out of pocket during that time. So beginning January 1st, 2025, they are actually getting rid of the donut hole, which is semi-good news, and they are now going to cap the prescription drug cost at $2,000, which on paper sounds very good. And there are some seniors that are paying like, $7,000, $8,000 for drugs right now. It's very expensive. So for them, it's great. But the problem is that the average senior is paying significantly more than $2,000 a month or a year on their drugs. So the differential cost has been shifted to the carriers, your Humana, Cignas, all the Medicare Advantage carriers. And prescription drug carriers as well. So that's a lot of money. I mean, if you take about $2,100 and think about how many people are on Medicare, that's how much money has been shifted to the carriers. So, and margins are already tight for carriers. So to make sure they can still make money, they are going to have to make a lot of impacts to 2025 Medicare Advantage and prescription drug plans. So what I've been telling everybody, and I've been going all over East Tennessee, senior center to senior center, I did a health fair at the Jefferson City Community Center yesterday. I'm just trying to raise awareness about this because it could be a very realistic situation that January comes, you go to pick up your drug and they're going to say, your drug has gone up a tier. It's now, tripled the cost, or it's not even on the formulary anymore. Your drug's no longer covered. These are situations that very realistically could happen. Your plan could terminate. I know that there are carriers that are completely exiting some counties entirely. I can't tell you who they are yet. We are on a gag order until October 1st to give any plan details. That's the annual enrollment period. So yeah, there's big changes, and my plea to everybody is, even if you don't meet with me, this AEP and annual enrollment is October 15th through December 7th. If you don't meet with me, please find a broker in your area and meet with them and review your Medicare plan, because this is the biggest changes to Medicare in over 20 years, and it's going to be a big deal.
Right. And you don't know what to ask.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get somewhere. Now, let's talk about the health fairs that you do. I think that's interesting. These are opportunities where you will have, how do I, as a seasoned person that needs to be thinking about these things in the near future, how do I know? How do I find out? You'll have it somewhere and do lunch. Yeah. Tell us how all that works.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do seminars where we mail out to people that are turning 65 in the next, 3 to 6 months, and we'll host seminars. We just had a great seminar. Can I give the restaurant's name?
Sure.
Free plug here. Louis, in Fountain City, and we did 2 events there this week. We had about 60 seniors show up, and we just educated them on Medicare. We bought them lunch, and we told them, this is how Medicare works. Ask us your questions. We are
bought them lunch.
Yeah.
Can't beat that.
Yeah. And we had a good meal. They got educated. We were able to really dig in and answer their deep questions. And, hopefully from that, they'll give us a call during AEP and we can review their plans with them. But we're, at the end of the day, we're just trying to raise awareness. Again, we don't care if you see us. We would love for you to see us. But we just want you to get taken care of, and we want Medicare to work for you. It can work for you if you're reviewing it correctly.
Right. Good morning, Rochelle. Good to see you in there this morning. Thanks for joining us via our Facebook Live page, and want to say hi to all y'all. And something else and I say this all the time during our broadcast. If I don't answer you on Facebook, it's because I haven't seen you yet. And why Facebook is so slow, I don't know. And I'll probably go to Facebook jail. But anyway, when I get home, I'll look back and go, oh, well, there was a question. There was a question. There was a question. I just don't see them. They just don't. They don't come up that fast. So I try to make note of them and catch them during the next show. But please understand that it's something that I don't do on purpose. I just don't see it. However, you can always reach me during the week at rickshouseradio@gmail.com. You can go to the website, rickshouseradio.com, and you'll find a link there where you can email me. If you got questions, maybe there's somebody we need to know about, a guest, somebody we ought to learn about, somebody doing a good job, those kinds of things. You miss out on how to get a hold of Stephen, which you need to tell him. That's something that we need to start doing here in the last hour. If you're interested in partnering with Stephen to help you guide whatever insurance need it is, Stephen, how do they do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a website. It's yes.insurance, just www.yes.insurance.com. And you can give me a call at 865-227-0963. That's my direct line. You'll talk to me every time. Our office is also in Hardin Valley. It's 2220 Award-Winning Way, Suite 200. It's right above the brand new Chick-fil-A they just built up there. It's very dangerous. I can walk to it. It's a dangerous thing.
You get in front of somebody getting some Chick-fil-A on you. Listen, brother, you better be paying attention, looking both ways before you cross the road. That's for sure.
Yeah. So right there, but we will be actually, if you're a member of the YMCA, my agency and some of my partners, we will be at every YMCA 5 days a week. We'll have a booth set up, table, and you can knock out your workout. Come by, see us at the table, 30 minutes to an hour. We'll review your plan, make sure either you're on the right plan for you, or we'll find the right plan for you. We won't change your plan. If you're on the right plan for you, we're going to leave you where you are. We don't want to hurt you. We want to help you.
Right.
And if that means us losing the business, so be it. We want you to come out on top.
Well, and I appreciate that. And I know our listening audience does too. So, and then also, if they want to find out about the next event,
yeah, absolutely,
they can call the office.
Yeah, you can call the
office.
Email. Yeah, give me a call. My email is sjackson@insurewithyes.com. I can tell you we will be at the Clear Springs Baptist Fall Festival on October the 5th. Yes, that's next Saturday. So we'll be set up there. We'll have a booth.
That'll be a good place. Big parking lot. Good place.
Parking lot.
Yeah, lots of room.
Yeah, and I'm part
stuff for the kids to do, grandkids, all that stuff.
It's a great great festival. I went last year. My mom, she owns a bakery. She sets up. We're going to be right beside each other. It'll be a lot of fun. Come see us.
Man, she can do some cooking.
Man, she can.
She can. She makes stuff that Vance is a sweets guy. I'm telling you, she makes some sweet stuff that even make you sweet.
We had
Miss Patty said, order him everything you can get him.
my birthday. She said, what kind of cake do you want? I said, I'm going to challenge you. I said, I want you to make me a giant fudge round. And by God, she did. It looked just like a fudge round, like the little.
She can do it all.
It was so good. So yeah,
absolutely. She made some gluten-free stuff for us because we have some gluten-free vegan folks in our world that have to eat that way because of their health concerns, and it was delicious. I mean, absolutely delicious. Of course, your dad said, Big Steve said he's the one who was actually doing it, but
I'm sure.
I believe that.
Yeah,
and so forth and so on. So we've talked about the donut hole. We've talked about the Inflation Act. Let's see what this is a great one sheet that you've got put together here.
Yeah, thank you.
That gives that information. In addition to that, I was telling you about an issue that I have with my insurance company. I take Eliquis.
Yes.
Which they're really proud of Eliquis.
Mm-hmm.
And what they continue to tell me is that's because it doesn't have a generic.
That's correct.
So it's a preferred drug, doesn't have a generic. I hear, which I don't know, you would hear more than I do, that there's one coming, but who knows when that'll be.
That they are allowed to be run. They're allowed to run the drug as the only option for, I don't know how many years it is, but it's kind of like the patent deal. They get so long to do it, and then other people can come in and make a generic. So Eliquis has been around for a long time, so there should be a generic soon.
Right. And that's something that, I have to have with my atrial fibrillation to keep everything pumping like it's supposed to be. However, when I was in Mexico getting my weight loss surgery, which your lovely bride had as well, who and looks fabulous.
Yeah.
Does this wonderful and encouraged me to do the same thing. Eliquis is not very expensive in Mexico.
What was it, $5?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
It is.
I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So that being said, we got to take the top of the hour timeout. So that's a good place. We don't stop for anything. We don't take breaks around here. We take short timeouts to get you the information that you need about the people that bring you this program. When we come back, I'm going to tell you what I was told and what my insurance dilemma is. And Stephen's going to tell us what we can do about that. You're listening to Rick's House live Saturday morning, Praise 96.3 FM. Hang on, y'all. We'll be right back.
WJBZ FM 96.3 Knoxville, Seymour.
What happens when you take 20 years of experience hanging metal on NASCARs and you put that into another business? The business I'm talking about, Miracle Method Resurfacing in Knoxville. My buddy Chris Stacy and his team are there for the detail, there for as good as a job can get. They understand working with tight tolerances and working with a finish that has to be almost perfect. If you're thinking about redoing your countertop, maybe you're thinking about redoing that avocado green bathtub, or maybe you're thinking about that epoxy floor for your hot rod in your garage. Think nowhere else. Miracle Method of Knoxville is the place that can help your dreams come true about that new tile surface or any other finish in your home. Call them today. 865-693-5522. 865-693-5522. Tell them Rick's House sent you.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show, right here on 96.3 FM, Praise FM. Let me tell you about my friends Tyler and Xavier and the team over at Weekend RV Center. Whether you're looking for sales or service or parts or storage, they're the team that can make that happen for you. I trust them. They've been there with me when we were on the road all over the United States, and they'll be there for you. They can work on your RV. They can take your RV in on a trade. They can sell you a new RV, but most of all, they're going to treat you like family. You're not dealing with some big corporation. You're
you're dealing with local folk who want to do a great job and take care of you. Weekend RV Center, 865-457-4424, 865-457-4424, or find them online at weekendrvcenter.com.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, and let me tell you about one of my favorite companies, Top Septic. If you need a new drain field, or maybe you're having a problem with your existing drain field, or maybe the septic tank just needs to be pumped, they are the folks that can handle it for you. They know what they're doing. They're an American-owned company run by a veteran who wants to give you the type of service that you're expecting. Top Septic. Call them today, 865-599-1690, 865-599-1690.
Got a question? Rick's got the answers for all your home improvement questions. It's Rick's House. Home improvement advice done right.
Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to Rick's House live from Praise 96.3 FM, your Praise 96.3 FM. The call-in line today, if you've got questions about insurance especially, or home improvement, whatever you got, we'd love to hear from you this morning, 865-577-4885, 865-577-4885. If you're doing something else and you'd like to text us on the Miracle Method message line, that's the Miracle Method message line, you can do that at 865-255-3911, 865-255-3911. Now, Stephen, during the timeout, you and I, we were talking back and forth about preferred drugs and the cost of that. And, you know, I have to take Eliquis, which they're really, really proud of, $400 a month proud of, if you don't have any kinds of discounts or those kind of things. So my cardiologist sent paperwork in to my insurance company, you know, stating I had to have it. I'm going to have it. It's going to be for life. And, you know, what can they do? So they sent me a thing back and they said, yeah, we approved you for a discount. Mm-hmm. Well, the discount says, when it came back to me, it said for a month's $90. I said, okay, well, that's great. But when I go to my pharmacy said, no, it's $180. So is that, and so that throwed me off. So I called the insurance company back and he said, no, it should be about $90. But I didn't know to ask. Mm-hmm. That could be a pharmacy issue, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So insurance carriers, everything's about contracts. So they will have a preferred pharmacy and a non-preferred pharmacy, and those prices will differentiate based on preferred and non-preferred. And that's a big deal. I mean,
that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Yeah. And the more crazy the drug is, like, you know, let's throw out an Ozempic. You know, that's a very unique drug right now because a lot of people are using it for weight loss, but it was intended for pre-diabetes.
Yeah.
And so those people still need it. And that cost has gone up because there's such a high demand for it because it's a miracle weight loss drug. And that's great. But it's a challenge. And even to get insurance to cover drugs like that now is a challenge. But yeah, knowing the preferred pharmacy versus a non-preferred pharmacy will save you some money. Also, Eliquis is one that this won't help. But if you're on a drug that is expensive, always look at GoodRx. It's free. Just Google goodrx.com and you can sign up, and there's a paid version that'll save you a little bit more money. But I was on a special inhaler several years ago, and just when I was an athlete and stuff, and it was like $500 a month for a 30-day supply. It's one of those, you click it and it pops the blister pack. And anyway, I got on GoodRx, paid $5.
Wow.
So always check GoodRx. Also, Cost Plus Drugs, it's Mark Cuban's pharmacy. He has bought several manufacturers and he's discounted the drugs. So you can look at his pharmacy as well, and there's usually some significant discounts on there.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't realize that he had done that. I know that he's involved in a lot of humanitarian things that that help those folks, and you know, especially, I mean, ideally as we age, you know, our incomes are not getting greater.
Yeah.
They're, you know, we're leveling out and trying to, you know, we've been fortunate that we have reduced debt to little or nothing.
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah.
You know, that's the one thing I control. My grandfather said, it ain't how much you make, it's how much you keep.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of truth to that. But even now, went to the grocery store yesterday. I was like, holy moly. And I was telling Vance, we were talking last night, you know, for doing show prep, talking about getting ready for the show today and, you know, some of that kind of stuff. I can remember when it was 12 Kool-Aid packs for $1. And we like Kool-Aid in our house, and we always kept it for the kids. We always kept a 5-gallon. When we lived in Florida, especially, we kept a 5-gallon bucket in our house in Florida, in the neighborhood that we lived in. My lovely and talented bride would keep a 5-gallon, one of those orange coolers full of ice, water, and Kool-Aid or Gatorade.
Mhm.
There was always plenty of bologna and plenty of cheese and plenty of bread and mustard and mayonnaise for whoever needed a sandwich playing during the summer. And all those kinds of things. I went last night and I had to go to the store, and it was 2 packs for $1. I'm like, are you kidding me? 2 packs. I mean, that's still a value because, you know, Kool-Aid makes it, you know,
Yeah.
But 2 packs for $1 used to be 12 packs for $1. I'm like, what? You know, and so, but this is the world we live in.
Yeah.
And so anything that you can do with that. Now, if you have insurance, can you still look at the Good RX and those kinds of things outside of that?
However, yes. However,
here it comes.
When you go,
Here it comes, Vance. However,
when
he
you
says.
go to the pharmacy, let's say that you are on 3 drugs, and 2 of the drugs it's cheap with insurance, but one of the drugs is one of those expensive ones. You go to the pharmacy, they know you have insurance. They're going to automatically give you the insurance price. They may even make you purchase the Good RX one separately so they can run the insurance on the first 2 and then not run the insurance on the second one. Pharmacies have a lot of rules when it comes to insurance. As soon as they see that insurance card, they're supposed to give the insurance price first. And then, you know, after.
But you're not obligated to use your insurance
No.
for that. If you can find it cheaper utilizing one of these other services,
Yeah.
then that's something to do. I need to.
Yeah, Good RX. And you can also go to the manufacturer's website. Like if you go to Eliquis, and that may be what they did with your situation. You can go on the website of the manufacturer, in this case, Eliquis, and look for discounts. Click around. I always do this with clients if they have an expensive drug, because odds are there is a program that they can qualify for to get that drug at a discounted price through the manufacturer.
Exactly. And what was Mark Cuban's company?
I believe it's Cost Plus RX, but if you just Google Mark Cuban online pharmacy, you can find it, and you just type in your drug, and if it's not covered or it's not in the pharmacy, he'll tell you. But I mean, there's drugs on there that retail costs are $10,000 and his cost is $5,000.
That's crazy.
It's
That's
astronomical.
excellent. Yeah. I need to look into that right away because I have to. Thank goodness for samples. But I'm to that point where, you know, I've got to figure out how to get that cost down on that particular drug. All the rest of them, not a problem. I mean, you know, they're minimal cost.
Tier 1s probably. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and you know, I'll take those, but the Eliquis is does a great job for me.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people are on it.
Yeah. And I got to have it, but you know, hey, I got to have it cheaper than that. That's for sure. So the changes coming up, we've talked about that, and not understanding drug tier prices, those kinds of things. And I wanted to say too, you know, we do again on Rick's House, and of course with Praise 96.3 FM, we want to recognize all those folks that are hurting during this tragedy. I saw where the governor has declared a state of emergency in the state of Tennessee. That's pretty significant. Yeah. And as I look at all the different things that I see on Facebook and the news and stuff, you know, Brian out and Lacey was asking me, he was saying, you know, how did it hit you? And I said, well, you know, honestly, where I'm at really didn't have much from it. But around us, they're getting hammered. And I have family over in Asheville, North Carolina, and they're getting blistered.
I saw Biltmore, and it was the entrance is completely underwater.
You are kidding.
Well, the Village. We were there last November and we saw it, and I was showing Brooke. I was like, we were right here. This is the Starbucks we went to, and yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I'm so surprised because it's so far back in there and it's kind of on a hill anyway, really.
Yeah, it's flooding. They said that the Pigeon River normally flows at 2 feet, and by midnight last night, it was at 29 feet.
And that's like a record.
Yeah, that's a record. 27 was the record, and that was like
Wow.
1903.
Wow. And then with these dams bursting,
Yeah.
that's only going to increase the issue. And Amy was asking me last night. She said, "Will they have to repair them? What will they have to do?" And it really depends on the severity of the damage, And that's not a quick repair.
No.
You got to come in and put a temporary dam in so that you can rebuild the existing dam. And that takes time, and there's a huge expense. Of course, the Army Corps of Engineers have things that they can implement into place. They can put a bridge across a ocean if they need to.
Yeah.
And those kinds of things. But my goodness, the things that are going to have to be done.
40.
Oh,
40 washed away.
Yeah, that's going to be closed for a while.
And that's a big supply chain to the mountains there. So
Absolutely, and I understand that's in 2 or 3 places. I thought it was
Yeah.
like one place, but it's like 2 or 3 places.
there's one section that's completely underwater that I saw this morning on one of the news channels. And the drone footage is unbelievable.
Yeah, you can't even see the road. I saw
No.
that's I-78, I believe is what it was, and you can't. I mean, it just looks like a big lake.
Yeah. That hospital where they were on the roof.
In
that was-
Unicoi County, and had to.
couldn't imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, they're bringing Black Hawks in like Skylar.
Yeah.
And that's what he did in South Korea. It was high rescue.
Yeah, because they get lots of floods. Yeah.
for that kind of thing. So, it's the severity of it is quite greater than what we know, especially in these rural areas. That's got to affect insurance costs. We're going to
goodness.
see huge increases, I would imagine.
Well, with our governor doing the state of emergency, that does bring federal funding into the question, so that will help things. So
Right. So that that's something that you got to look at, and as that comes along, especially with insuring your house and your cars and your all that kind of stuff that really you got to do.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was young, I didn't really understand the importance of that. Now that I'm old, I understand the importance of that. Because you can be driving down the road like we were a year and a half ago, and something happened, and you're lucky you didn't get killed.
Yeah.
But your vehicle's totaled, and you didn't do anything but drive down the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a huge part of it. We're going to take that next time out to hear from some of those folks that bring you our program, like Baker Boy Pizza. I'm thinking about a little Baker Boy today for some lunch for the Rickster. Cozy Mountain Cabins. Call Baker Boys. They'll have it ready for you. 865-444-5989, excuse me. Senor Taco, one of my favorite places. Broadway and Cancun out in Halls. You can go by there. Knoxville Salvage, Old City Kitchens, August Excavations, Top Septic, Sanders Plumbing, Weekend RV Center, and, of course, Miracle Method. We'll be right back after this short time out. Hang on.
Now listen, if you've not been to Baker Boys, have y'all tried Baker Boys Pizza yet? Oh my good gracious. Let me tell you something. It's on Cherry Street. If you get off on Cherry Street and turn toward Magnolia, and you'll see Baker Boys down there on the right. He's got a 30-inch pie, like not even got in my van and got the door closed. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm telling you, a slice of pizza feed 10 kids. Baker Boys Pizza is the place. I'm telling y'all, go by and see them and tell them that we sent you, and they're going to take care of you. They're going to be proud to see you, and they're going to be glad to feed you and your family. Great place for after church on Sundays. Go by and see the team at Baker Boys Pizza and tell them that Rick's House sent you.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show on the road. And let me tell you about my friends at Knoxville Salvage and Old City Kitchens. Joel Piper and the team there have been friends of this program for a long time, and they want to be your friend. Friends, they have got the best cabinets, the best products, You say, Rick, is it seconds? No, everything's first quality. They do have some seconds if you want to get a deal, but not on kitchens and not on about everything they have in the store. So trust me, they're part of our team. They want to be part of your team. And in this environment where building materials are going through the roof, they're going to have the best prices on the best products in Knoxville or anywhere in the surrounding area. Call them today. See them online. KnoxvilleSalvage.com, OldCityKitchens.com. A Rick's House favorite.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, and let me tell you about one of my favorite companies, Top Septic. If you need a new drain field, or maybe you're having a problem with your existing drain field, or maybe the septic tank just needs to be pumped, they are the folks that can handle it for you. They know what they're doing. They're an American-owned company run by a veteran who wants to give you the type of service that you're expecting. Top Septic. Call them today, 865-599-1690. 865-599-1690.
The way to start your Saturday projects every week. It's Rick's House. Home improvement advice done right.
Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to Rick's House. Thanks for joining us on the program live from Praise 96.3. Your Praise 96.3. We hope you're safe and away from the things that all this rain and stuff. I don't know what it's doing outside now, but I can't see outside. But I think that this morning coming in, it was nice. And I think we're going to get a little break from that weather. No, Vance says no.
Yeah, it was a red sky this morning. So, you know,
red sky warning, sailors take warning. That's right. Absolutely. So, I mean, we got it coming. At least it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. As I've gotten older, I can't take the heat. I just can't take the heat.
I never could. I think I decided when I was playing football in high school in the field, and it was middle of the summer, and you're baking in the pads and everything. I'm done with this crap. It's hot.
So you went to wrestling.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good.
It's a winter sport. It's better. It's cold.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's good stuff. Talking about, one of our listeners says the insurance game, commercial or private or automobile, is like juggling cars and chainsaws, or cats and chainsaws, as it says. I don't know what was wrong with my cat this morning. Gypsy, she was just, I don't know if she found some catnip or we fed her too much or what, but my goodness, she woke me up at 4:00 this morning, standing on top of my head with her claws dug into my scalp. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? She was wild and woolly. Good morning, Miss Ruby. Good to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us. Rochelle Ron, good to see you, brother. And of course, Jim Sharp Jr., Melissa White, several others in there. Like I said, I can't tell you. I can't see everybody, and I won't see everybody until I get home. And I go, doggone, I should have mentioned them, but didn't see them till then. So just the way the platform works when I'm broadcasting. So that's part of that. We got some time left to talk about what have we not talked about yet with insurance that's important to you, that you want the listening audience to know that you can help them with.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were touching earlier on, price of living has gone up significantly. And you mentioned that, people, especially our seniors, they're on a fixed income. So I wanted to take a second to just touch on Medicaid. Are you familiar with Medicaid?
A little bit, but not really.
Sure. So if a senior's under, if they're low income, roughly it's like $1,300 a month.
Okay.
We can have them apply to Medicaid, which will, depending on their income, in most cases it can make, if they're making very little money, we can actually get it to where everything's going to be funded by Medicaid or TennCare in this case, and it'll really help them. I mean, some of those plans have like $300 for groceries on them a month.
Oh, wow.
It will $5,000. I mean, there's lots of there's lots of benefits to some of those plans that, over-the-counter benefits, dental, lots of things like that. And not to go into detail on them, but those over-the-counter benefits, you give a senior a card, say, here, you can take this to the grocery store. You change their life because they don't have to worry about that. They can now afford groceries, and it's through their insurance plan. So you saw those, the commercials on TV, the Joe Namaths and all that.
I was going to ask you about that. I was
So
going to ask
now
you about that.
we're actually seeing plans like that in our market, where before it used to be one county somewhere in Nebraska or something like that. Now we're starting to see plans like that here, and you just have to be on Medicaid to do it, and we can help apply you. That's a free service of ours. We just help guide you through that process, and once you're on Medicaid, then you're then dual eligible, meaning you have Medicare and Medicaid, and then there's plans that are made just for people that are dual eligible. So.
Well, and I think it's important to note, Cody, good to see you this morning on Facebook. But I think it's important to note that those of us who were raised in East Tennessee, worked in East Tennessee, make our family here, make our living here, do all those kinds of things. We are folks who say we're going to take care of ourselves. Nothing in the world wrong with you've worked all these years, you've paid taxes all these years, you've put that money in there, you've dealt with all that. Nothing wrong with getting some of it back.
Yeah.
And so not a thing wrong with that, and knowing that's your business. That's between you and your agent.
Yeah.
But not a thing in the world wrong with that. And I think most of us have that thinking that, well, I'm not going to depend on the government for anything. Well, I just want to say that those things are there for a reason, and it's your dollars that you paid in.
Yeah.
That you're getting back.
And in some cases, I met with a lady, and she actually had done very well in life, and she had a nest egg, and she didn't have it in the right place. And she unfortunately contracted cancer, and she lost almost all of her money because of cancer. But I was able to get her on the Medicaid, and at least now her health care is covered, and she doesn't have to worry about that drastic cost happening again. So she does have, she didn't completely deplete her, but it definitely took a good chunk of it. But now moving forward, we don't have to worry about that.
Well, and having that financial burden off of you, is huge when you're battling something like cancer or a life-threatening issue. Worry's not good for those things.
No,
it's definitely not good for those things. So I think that's important. And I had something else I was going to ask you, but it just left me. Well, it'll come back in a minute, won't it, Vance? I went to the kitchen. Why did I go? Oh, I don't know. Well, maybe it'll come back to me.
Yeah, there you go. And also Medicaid. And I'm going to kind of touch on something I don't do, but it's important. I always tell my clients, you need to do this. When you're starting to get to that age where, I'm done. I just need to focus on living and relaxing, and maybe it's time to start transferring stuff to the kids. You need to do that before, or at least put it in an irrevocable trust or something. Because what we're seeing now is, the baby boomers are starting to get to the point where, unfortunately, they're entering the nursing homes. Well, when that happens, Medicaid starts taking your assets from you because you're in a nursing home, and the care can be $9,000 a month. It's very expensive.
Very expensive. We've rode that horse, and it is not cheap.
And in some cases, like if you have, like, say, a grandparent and they are in a nursing home and they own a home, well, Medicaid's going to start putting liens on that home.
That's right. And they'll take it.
They'll take it in Medicaid
heartbeat.
recovery. Yeah, absolutely. So if you have plans in place, you've met with a lawyer and you at least have things in a trust, that takes things away from the eyes of Medicaid. So you can keep your nest egg and live your life and not have to worry about Medicaid recovery.
Well, and the thing about that is and the last time I heard, and I'm certainly not a financial person, an insurance person, or an attorney by any means, but the last thing I heard is they can go back 5 years. 5 years now.
Yes, sir.
I thought it went to 7.
Mm-hmm.
So they can go back 5 years. And so let's say that, you're all of a sudden that house gets transferred. I mean, that person gets transferred and they've got that house that's paid for or close to being paid for, and someone else in the family wants to move into that house and continue that. If you hadn't changed that over within that period of time and they pass, it's gone.
Yeah. Yep. They'll put a lien on it.
They'll put a lien on it, and whatever they can get for it, it's what they'll get for it. I mean, it's just a fact.
It is.
And that's a sad thing because, it's it's an opportunity that we have to be aware of, and that's things we don't think about.
Yeah.
We just don't think about those. Do you do a lot of automobile insurance stuff?
I get a lot of calls about it. Yeah. Because everybody's rates are going up, and it's just a wild time. And really every industry of insurance, it's just a wild time. Really, commercial is the only one that's normal right now, and it's the one I don't really focus on.
Right. So you like to get out where it's not easy.
Yeah.
And there's a challenge to that. And if I was a young man like you, I would enjoy that too. So finding out how I can take this company and put it with that person and get a solution that works for them. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal, is to get a solution that works for their situation, because there is no plan A that does that. Let's talk a little bit about, if you're comfortable with it, and you can tell me, and I didn't ask you this ahead of time, how does the marketplace figure into all this mess?
I'm sorry, when you say marketplace, what do you mean?
Obamacare.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I do that as well. And Obamacare, the whole reason they made that was they wanted people to be able to go onto a health insurance other than Medicare, obviously 64 and under, and they wanted to be able to do it without underwriting. So there are different pros and cons to the ACA, which is Affordable Care Act. But at the end of the day, if you're on especially for entrepreneurs and 1099 folks that are starting up a business, or, income fluctuates a lot, that marketplace is fantastic for them, because I can find some tax subsidy that will pay some of the premium for them. For myself, for example, me and the kids, I put us on a marketplace plan. I think I paid $220 a month. I got a $3,000 max out of pocket. That's hard to beat.
It's hard to beat. Absolutely.
So some people don't like it, and it's not really good if you make a lot of money. It might not be the best option for you, but if you're
a self-employed individual,
absolutely.
or that's a great opportunity for
Yeah.
you. Is it hard to negotiate? I mean, to navigate?
I make it very easy. So again, whenever I meet with the client, I do education first. I figure out your needs, your doctors, your medications, your medication in this case.
Right.
And then I figure out who's in network, because we got to make sure the plan has your doctors in network first thing.
Right, because nobody wants to change their doctors.
No.
We've been with our doctor 30 years. I mean, he's getting ready to retire. We're going to retire with him.
Yeah.
And
it's important.
So it's important because they know you.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to start over from all that. So it has those applications. I had traveler's liability on CWC. It was $970 a year, and State Farm did it for $420 with better coverage. Interesting.
And that's why you want to shop right there.
Right. Anne Marie, good to see you in there this morning.
One thing I run into a lot is, our home values here in Knoxville, we're fortunate that they skyrocketed.
It went through the roof.
A lot of people are underinsured because they don't realize what their house is worth nowadays. It's been 3-4 years since they shopped insurance. Now you've got a lot more equity in your home, and you're underinsured.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I see it every time I run a quote. They're about underinsured by about $30,000 to $50,000.
I'm surprised the lenders don't jump on that.
Well, I mean, they just don't keep track of it after the mortgage is done.
Right.
So unless there's a refinance or something, they don't know.
I imagine that's a great market for you, going in and helping people realize that, hey, if something happens, you're not rebuilding it for this. You're not purchasing something new.
Yeah. And in most cases, it's like, well, why didn't my agent call to check in with me to, update my appraisal value? These are questions that people need to think about, and they don't unless the agent brings it up sometimes.
Absolutely. Good point. So we're learning more about insurance on today's program. We've been waiting to do this for a month, and we're excited to have Stephen in here with us from Yes Insurance. You can reach him 865-227-0963 during the week, or yes.insurance is how you get him there as well. Also, if you've got a question for us, we would love to hear from you. You can do that on Facebook Live, or you can call us live, 865-577-4885, 865-577-4885. And if you'd like to text us on the Miracle Method message line, you can do that at 865-255-3911, 865-255-3911. We take a short time out. We come back and talk more to you here on Rick's House. Hang on, y'all.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show, right here on 96.3 FM, Praise FM. Let me tell you about my friends Tyler and Xavier and the team over at Weekend RV Center. Whether you're looking for sales or service or parts or storage, they're the team that can make that happen for you. I trust them. They've been there with me when we were on the road all over the United States, and they'll be there for you. They can work on your RV. They can take your RV in on a trade. They can sell you a new RV, but most of all, they're going to treat you like family. You're not dealing with some big corporation. You're dealing with local folk who want to do a great job and take care of you. Weekend RV Center, 865-457-4424, 865-457-4424, or find them online at weekendrvcenter.com.
What happens when you take 20 years of experience hanging metal on NASCARs and you put that into another business? The business I'm talking about, Miracle Method Resurfacing in Knoxville. My buddy Chris Stacy and his team are there for the detail, there for as good as a job can get. They understand working with tight tolerances and working with a finish that has to be almost perfect. If you're thinking about redoing your countertop, maybe you're thinking about redoing that avocado green bathtub, or maybe you're thinking about that epoxy floor for your hot rod in your garage. Think nowhere else. Miracle Method of Knoxville is the place that can help your dreams come true about that new tile surface or any other finish in your home. Call them today, 865-693-5522. 865-693-5522. Tell them Rick's House sent you.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, and let me tell you about one of my favorite companies, Top Septic. If you need a new drain field, or maybe you're having a problem with your existing drain field, or maybe the septic tank just needs to be pumped, they are the folks that can handle it for you. They know what they're doing. They're an American-owned company run by a veteran who wants to give you the type of service that you're expecting. Top Septic. Call them today, 865-599-1690. 865-599-1690. Hey, y'all, being from the country, I've learned one thing for sure. The difference in experience can make the difference between a good job and a bad. That's why we choose August Excavation for all your excavation needs. Whether it's pouring a footing, laying out a footing, pouring a concrete driveway, excavating a basement, or whatever your excavation needs may be. August Excavating. Call them today, 423-736-1402. 423-736-1402.
Want the good, the bad, and the ugly of home improvement? You found it. This is Rick's House.
Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome into Rick's House, live on Praise 96.3, your Praise 96.3 FM, as we were bringing you a whole program on insurance this morning regarding your house, your home, your retirement, all those kinds of things. My guest today, Stephen Jackson with Yes Insurance. And you're servicing most of East Tennessee?
Actually, so we serve the whole state of the whole state of Tennessee. We also license in Georgia and Ohio, and we're going to add to that. Probably add South Carolina, North Carolina. We're going to add a few more states, but this year we're really focusing just heavy on Tennessee. And we have some.
So you got agents in Chattanooga, I know.
Yeah,
You've got agents here in Knoxville.
Yes.
And
got some agents in Ohio.
In Ohio,
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, you're kind of working this region right now, and do insurance issues vary much from state to
Yes,
state?
Absolutely.
I can imagine that
Health insurance, not so much, but
Okay.
property and casualty, which is home and auto, yes.
Yeah.
absolutely.
So it varies a great deal during those times.
Like if you go to Florida, for example.
Yeah,
you know,
Florida's
Florida's
a whole different.
Yeah,
beast.
it's a different beast all entirely. But same thing with Georgia and Tennessee. Their market is a little harder to write in than ours here in Tennessee, just because they've had more replacement costs than we have. So actually, Tennessee is actually one of the, even though this insurance market is not great, Tennessee is one of the better markets to be in.
Okay, so it's and I was thinking about you know, and this is one of the things I've been threatening talking about, and I don't know, you know, when someone has an issue with their insurance company that they're unsure about, obviously the first thing to do would be go to an agent and have a good agent who can answer those questions for you and tell you if there is an actual issue.
Yep.
And who can also go to bat for you to do that. In addition to that, the state of Tennessee, for instance, and I'm sure this holds true throughout the country, the Department of Commerce and Insurance in Nashville governs that.
Mm-hmm.
I've had an instance where I've had an issue that I was unsure about and called, and they became involved and resolved it.
Yeah.
Sometimes those things happen.
Yeah, and absolutely. Like if you call into or any company, I shouldn't name drop, but if you call into an insurance company and you sign up, you don't technically have an agent of record. You're just with whoever signed your policy that day, and then all you have to support you is the customer phone number.
Right.
Whereas if you work with a broker, they're going to make sure that the plan is the rate's going to be the best it can be based off factual information. And then also, if you have trouble, you call that agent and you have them go to bat for you. That's what we do. If you have a problem, we don't want you to call the carrier. We want you to call us because we can go to bat for you.
And I can see where that's very advantageous because, you know, I know in instances for myself, you know, you go online and you do it online and you talk to X, Y, and Z, and then it goes along and you need a coverage letter, or you need a declaration page, or you're dealing with just whoever that you call the 800 number and get customer service for that day. And that may be somebody that's happy about being there, or it may be somebody that's not happy about being there.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I've had issues where that's been difficult because I didn't have an agent to go to like I used to. One of the companies that we were with for a number of years, and it's a big company, that person actually retired, and then I got sent over to another agency. But I dealt with a young lady that I'd been dealing with for 20-something years, and she unfortunately got cancer and passed. And they just kind of left me hanging out there. So I didn't have that one go-to contact. You know, it's kind of the deal where you had an agent who was the broker, and then, you know, he had the girls in the office, 2 girls in the office that did all the work, which is fine, and knew all the stuff. And I was able to communicate with them and get done what was necessary, as it should be. He was out taking care of things if it was something that went beyond what their capabilities were, both of them licensed agents as well, then it would go to him. And, you know, of course, people get old and retire, and bad things happen to good folks sometimes. And so we had that. So I'm a believer in having that person who you can call and go, you know, I was thinking about this. This is what I'm seeing going on. Help me.
Yeah. And let me tell you a little quick story.
Lay it on me.
My mother-in-law, she went on vacation. It was several years ago. I can't remember, 4 or 5 years ago. We had a bad storm here when she was gone. Anyway, one of her big, tall trees fell on her house. And it was bad. Like the tree was through the roof, and there was water in there. And luckily, one of her neighbors called and said, "Hey, you had a tree fall on your house," and this was still at nighttime. So she called her agent. Her agent drove out there, had the companies there that she works with and partners with, had them tarping up the house, removing the tree while it was still storming. That is customer service right there. And that's the advantage of having an agent, especially if you have a good agent. That I don't know who her agent was at the time, but that's a great agent.
Yeah, that's the real deal.
Yeah.
And as it should be.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, you know, and I've had several different folks in here from the sales world over the years. With this our 24th year doing Rick's House. And, you know, back in the day, not only did your insurance agent come to see you and write your policy, he also came by once a month and collected your insurance fee.
Yeah.
And the purpose behind that was putting that agent with that person. Obviously, if there's changes, the business needs to be corrected and those kinds of things, but it puts them together. Or they'd say, hey, you need to go see my brother, or you need my cousin, or, you know, whatever. But it was also not just about creating creating business. It's also about taking care of that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's part of it.
And that leads to referrals. You take care of people, they'll give you more people.
That's right.
I mean, all day.
Everybody wants that. That's the best kind of business to have.
Yeah.
They're saying in the chat room the hurricane and flood damage going now will likely raise everyone's rates.
With our governor signing in the state of emergency again, that brings in federal funding. Might not affect it, will affect it, but might not be as drastic as we think because of that.
One of the things that I've talked about over the years that I think is relative to the conversation as we speak of it today, you know, we talk a little bit about everything on Rick's House, but we're focused on the building industry. We're focused on everything that goes along that. When I was building houses, I went and got an insurance license. I got a real estate license, and I got a contractor's license. So I would understand each part of my business to be further educated, not an expert, but someone who was versed in those things, so I could talk, you know, the language necessary to understand what needed to be done. One of the things that I've seen, and this will be something that we will see, and it's something that I want to bring up, and this is something that I've kind of a burr in my saddle kind of thing, but the cost of building a home is already ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Get ready. Because when a hurricane happens, you have costs that are going to shoot through the roof. Your OSB is going to go up. Your plywood's going to go up. All those things are going to go up. Anything wood related is going to go up. Now, here's the truth of it. The truth of it is, if you take a company like Georgia Pacific, for instance, Georgia Pacific has, I can't remember now. I've toured several of those facilities over the years. They have forced people who do nothing but manage the thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of acres that they have, where they're constantly planting trees, growing trees, you know, doing that. So when they tell you there's a shortage of plywood, the shortage, they're managing all that.
Like the diamond industry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is. They have put that on a cycle, and it's been on that cycle for, and I'm not saying that Georgia Pacific's going to do that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if you take a Georgia Pacific and a Louisiana Pacific and a Weyerhaeuser and, you know, Forest Products and all these different companies, they are doing what they're supposed to be doing to make sure that they are conserving. They're not damaging our environment. You know, they're doing more. They're planting for every tree. It used to be, I knew the number, and it was something like for every tree that they took out of the forest, they planted 180.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing to watch that process of how they plant them in beds 4 foot wide. And they have a machine that when they get the seedlings up to a certain height, they have a machine that comes through and a blade goes down the ground and it cuts them underneath their roots. And it comes up on, and they take those, and they have all this land that they put them on. They have old growth trees where there's a stump, and that tree's 200 years old, and they will graft the new tree to that stump.
Wow. And
the tree will bond and grow from that to get that old growth. So the process of that is, my take is it's supply and demand.
Yeah.
But they're ahead of the game. There's lots of now there are instances where warehouses get flooded and damaged and material gets done. I mean, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there's material out there. Yeah, and that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Don't send me hate mail. That's just my opinion. You know, it's you know, and there's other factors that come into play with that, and obviously they incur some costs. I'm not saying that they don't.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're gonna run out of plywood ain't gonna happen.
Right.
It just ain't gonna happen. I also understand that I have been told over the years that when they see something like this coming, they load all that stuff on freighters and send it to sea. So it's out of the way.
Yeah, I get that.
And then bring it back. Now that's additional cost. That ain't cheap, but it didn't get damaged.
Yeah.
So, you know, these are things that happen there. Stephen Cup, good to see you in the program today. Thanks for joining us on that. Let's take that last time out, Vance, and for hear from those people that bring us the program, like Cozy Mountain Cabins. Call Anita Foster at Cozy Mountain Cabins, cozy with the Z.com. 865-660-0340. 865-660-0340. I got to check on her today. Got tons of cabins in Cosby and Newport and right on the creek. Worried. I'm going to make sure she's doing okay. Thanks for listening to Rick's House. Hang on. We'll finish up when we come back.
What happens when you take 20 years of experience hanging metal on NASCARs and you put that into another business? The business I'm talking about, Miracle Method Resurfacing in Knoxville. My buddy Chris Stacy and his team are there for the detail, there for as good as a job can get. They understand working with tight tolerances and working with a finish that has to be almost perfect. If you're thinking about redoing your countertop, maybe you're thinking about redoing that avocado green bathtub, or maybe you're thinking about that epoxy floor for your hot rod in your garage. Think nowhere else. Miracle Method of Knoxville is the place that can help your dreams come true about that new tile surface or any other finish in your home. Call them today. 865-693-5522. 865-693-5522. Tell them Rick's House sent you.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show on the road. And let me tell you about my friends at Knoxville Salvage and Old City Kitchens. Joel Piper and the team there have been friends of this program for a long time, and they want to be your friend. Friends, they have got the best cabinets, the best products. You say, Rick, is it seconds? No, everything's first quality. They do have some seconds if you want to get a deal, but not on kitchens and not on about everything they have in the store. So trust me, they're part of our team. They want to be part of your team. And in this environment where building materials are going through the roof, they're going to have the best prices on the best products in Knoxville or anywhere in the surrounding area. Call them today. See them online. KnoxvilleSalvage.com, OldCityKitchens.com. A Rick's House favorite. Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement Radio Show, right here on 96.3 FM, Praise FM. Let me tell you about my friends Tyler and Xavier and the team over at Weekend RV Center. Whether you're looking for sales or service or parts or storage, they're the team that can make that happen for you. I trust them. They've been there with me when we were on the road all over the United States, and they'll be there for you. They can work on your RV. They can take your RV in on a trade. They can sell you a new RV, but most of all, they're going to treat you like family. You're not dealing with some big corporation. You're dealing with local folk who want to do a great job and take care of you. Weekend RV Center, 865-457-4424, 865-457-4424, or find them online at weekendrvcenter.com.
Hey, y'all, this is Rick Allen, and let me tell you about one of my favorite companies, Top Septic. If you need a new drain field, or maybe you're having a problem with your existing drain field, or maybe the septic tank just needs to be pumped, they are the folks that can handle it for you. They know what they're doing. They're an American-owned company run by a veteran who wants to give you the type of service that you're expecting. Top Septic. Call them today, 865-599-1690, 865-599-1690.
Got a question? Rick's got the answers for all your home improvement questions. It's Rick's House. Home improvement advice done right.
Good Saturday morning to you. Welcome back to Rick's House. We finish it up here at the last segment. It just goes by so fast. We had a listener tell us, I don't know if it's not telling me who it is, but that insurance company that cost them $1 million by denying a claim on some buildings in 2011 and lost their retirement. And those things are possible. If you don't know what your policy says.
That's why I don't like commercial insurance. Why I don't do it as much, because there is so much more that can go wrong in that world.
Yeah, there are issues that can be, and you got to have somebody to help you navigate that. I mean, it's just, and you know, quite frankly, the older I get, and folks, I know that those of y'all that listen to us and the people that we're so proud that you take the time out of your Saturday mornings to let us chat with you, and we try to bring you the best in home improvement or RVs or insurance or life or whatever that we can bring you, especially as Amy and I navigate this new season, and Big Steve and Lisa and you know, all of us that I don't. My first response is to say you kids, but y'all ain't kids no more. Y'all are adults.
I still feel like it.
Yeah, we probably gonna treat you like that anyway. But and by the way, bring my shoes back. Stephen come down to my house and take a mixing bowl and fill it up with cereal and 3/4 of a gallon of milk and eat while he's waiting on Amy to make biscuits and gravy, and him and Bubba and then I'd see him going. I'd be looking for my Crocs. They're at the Jackson residence.
I now have a lot of Crocs thanks to you.
It was my pleasure, son, to furnish those things. Tell them again how they get you. Tell them about your next event, how they sign up for that, and they come and have lunch and give me Vance, give me a couple extra minutes on the way out so I can pack up for William. I appreciate that. Talk to me.
Yeah, so you can give me a call at 865-227-0963. That's my direct line. Our website's www.yes.insurance. Our office is 2220 Award-Winning Way, Knoxville, Tennessee, Suite 200, just in Hardin Valley, right above the new Chick-fil-A. And we will be at Clear Springs Baptist Church next Saturday. I believe it's October the 5th. And we'll be there all day. You can come by our booth. We'll have some giveaways. I believe we'll have some fresh produce from some local farms there to give away. So,
oh, outstanding. So that'll be good as well. And, you know, folks, this is not a high pressure thing. You're not twisting anybody's arm. You're there to answer questions, point them in the right direction. If you can help them. And I liked what you said earlier, that if they're good to go, no sense in making a change.
Yeah.
You know, it's those kinds of things. And so, you know, I would encourage you to write your questions down. If there's something you're really concerned about, do not be nervous about asking that.
Of course.
Because you're not the first one to ask it, I'm sure. All these things are important that allow you to, you know, get your needs taken care of in such a way that you got it done, because that's the goal. Is, you know, as Amy and I approach these things, and quite honestly, and I'll speak for she and I here, and I'm sure that you see this, you know, if I'm old school, they could have left me at Windows XP. I'd been so happy. I still use a calendar where I write it down. So write those things down, you know, be ready, be prepared, so that you can go back to it. You know, people ask me, what's the most important thing about a home improvement project? Well, the most important thing is a good number 2 pencil and the notebook, so that you can write your questions down and ask the people you're interviewing, ask the companies you're talking to, ask the subcontractors, you know, find out, you know, if you're not comparing an apple to an apple, you're not getting anything done. It's not good business. And so for your sake, and listen, Stephen and his team, they're not threatened by that. They appreciate that. You know, they absolutely appreciate that, because that way they know how to assist you further. That's part of it. 2 minutes to go. What do you want them to know?
Yeah, just if you are on Medicare and you maybe haven't shopped plans in several years, this is the year to do it. It doesn't have to be with me. You know, we would prefer it to be you, because we like working with people and meet new people. But at the end of the day, find a broker. If it's somebody you've already partnered with, great. Call them, schedule a no-cost consultation. What we'll do is we'll look at your drugs, we'll look at your doctors, we'll ensure that everything's in network, and then we'll look at your health. And, you know, if you're pretty healthy, I'll recommend a plan based on that. If you've got diagnoses, I'll recommend some plans based on that. At the end of the day, you make the decision. It's your choice. We just educate you on the matter. So please meet with an agent, even if it's not me this year.
Absolutely. Take the time to find out. You know, this is, you're talking about your retirement, folks, and you're talking about your future. And as Stephen and I were talking earlier on the program during the timeout, my granddaddy always said, "The son, ain't what you make, it's what you keep." And that's important. Be sure and go by and see my sponsors. We appreciate each and every one of them so much. Without them, we would not be able to do what we do here each and every Saturday morning. And, Top Septic, August Excavation, Knox Trail Salvage, Old City Kitchen, Senior Taco, Cozy Mountain Cabins, Baker Boy Pizza, all those folks that contribute with us. And, of course, Miracle Method, Chris Stacy and the team over there. We're so proud to have them on, and new ones that are coming. If there's somebody we need to know about, let me know about them. We'll bring them on. We'll talk to them and see what it is they do. That's fine. And we'll do what we got to do, and we'll help you any way we can. We're always available during the week. You can reach me at Rick's House Radio at gmail.com or rickshouseradio.com, and we appreciate you. Love those kids. Put your arms around them. I promise you don't know Stephen Jackson. Thank you for coming today and visiting with us. And stay tuned for William the Encourager coming up next on Your Praise 96.3.